Hello everyone, Happy New Year and welcome to today's PRCA MENA Trends 2024 webinar. My name is Monica Fourneau and I'm the head of PRCA MENA. I'm very pleased to be here with you, and today we will be looking at future trends in sectors that are interesting for PR professionals. I'm pleased to welcome 4 different panelists that will share with us their perspectives for the year ahead. Please, before we start, if you have questions, write them in the Q&A box indicating the name of the speaker your question is dedicated to. This webinar is being recorded and will be shared with our members in a few days. So let's start. The first panelist is Agag, who specializes in the AI MENA ecosystem. He will share with us the key trends we should be expecting in the AI in 2024. So, Anas, without further ado, I'm handing it over to you.
Hello, guys, and thank you, Monica, and thank you, everybody, for being here. So maybe I will introduce myself briefly. I am Anas, and the managing partner for New Native, and I have been an entrepreneur almost all my career. I built over 10 companies in Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, in Estonia, and in UAE. And I've worked in gaming, in blockchain, in Web3, and in AI as well. And for the past year and something, working on building the AI ecosystem and economy, running the AI acceleration program, Gaia, in Saudi Arabia. And we have been working closely with top AI labs from OpenAI, Anthropic, Cohere, Amazon, Google, and others to distribute their AI technologies for the community of developers, and building use cases and working with the enterprise and the government to adopt AI. And we also do invest in these companies that we have in the acceleration program. We have invested almost in 50 companies so far. We're aiming to invest in over 300 companies in the upcoming 3 years. So that's about me. When we speak about the AI and PR, it's great also to mention what are the technology trends before we talk about the use cases. We see now the technology companies are moving more into smaller models and based on more proprietary data, as the rising concerns of the data privacy and the consumption optimization of the AI and AI models, large language models, and so. And also there are more emerging terms that you might hear in the upcoming few months, maybe, or a few weeks from now, to be like massively adopted. It has been for a while around, large action models and large multi-models, LMM and LAM. I think most of you have heard about LLMs. So now we have 2 more acronyms, and maybe in PR, I think there will be a lot of communication going on about this adoption, especially for companies at the IPO stage, or even companies that is listed. We've been working with also a few of them, and aside from all the hype, there are a lot of challenges about this adoption. I think we will see more real adoption and more companies that building their own small models, not relying on external technologies or partially relying on open source technologies or commercial technologies to build some sort of large multimodals. So and also of the use of these technologies within PR practitioners. I have briefly worked as a journalist, still have this spirit within me. I worked in marketing sometime as well. And I think the maturity of the LLMs is getting way better. Producing content is getting way better, and also the recognition and the integration with the SEO and the recognition of AI content is getting let's say we're getting somewhere with it, especially with the regulations and the copyrights and so. Many frameworks have been introduced in the past quarter, and I think we will have more regulations in force in terms of who owns these copyrights. I hope 2024 will be the like a good start to have these regulations in force, which will increase the adoption, that's for sure. So these are like some of my insights based on my current experience working with these enterprises. So
thank you, Anas.
thank you.
I just wanted to ask you, you know, for our PR professionals, they are all interested in using especially ChatGPT. You know, is it ethical? Is it not ethical? I wanted to ask you, who is finally the owner of the content? Is it the ChatGPT? Is it the person who uses the ChatGPT, who uses the text developed by ChatGPT? So what about the ownership, actually?
So maybe we can use, like, if you have a hammer, right, and you have a nail, and some company produced this hammer, you still using it, right? And if this nail went wrong, who take the responsibility for it? I think the one who's using the hammer, right? So you're the one who's prompting this tool, right? And the one who's utilizing this tool for a specific purpose. So the content produced, from my point of view, in most cases, belongs to the prompter, right? Because you have to do a lot of work around it still. Even if you take the answer, the IP in the prompt, and you came up with the prompt. So that's the simple answer for it. There are some specific use cases, and I don't want to get too much into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anas. Now we will go over to Alka, who is a Vice President, Destination Marketing and Communications at Ras Al Khaimah Tourism Development Authorities. So Alka, tell me, what are your predictions for 2024?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Monica. Happy to give you some of our findings at the Tourism Board that's influencing tourism in 2024 and abroad. We'll be looking at global challenges, off-peak travel, the ease of travel, bleisure or blended travel, social at the center of the booking process, and of course, sustainability is a big enduring theme. But first, talking about the industry, so tourism is back. According to UNWTO, tourism is about 80 to 95% of pre-pandemic levels. The industry that we operate in is very resilient. It's one of the largest in the world. Tourism accounts for 1 out of 10 jobs globally. It drives $1 out of 10. And when we speak about the tourism ecosystem, we're looking at hotels, aviation, attractions, and partners. So it's a complete ecosystem. And of course, tourism is back because travel is such an optimistic activity. It's hard to keep tourism down, I'd like to say. So one of the things we're seeing is global challenges. I mean, the pandemic left a long legacy for us. And in its wake, we've seen geopolitical crisis and conflict, inflation, energy crisis. And I like to quote something that I saw from The Economist magazine. It said, "The messier the world gets, the more the UAE seems to strive." And I think that's really encouraging for us in communications, that we are in a haven where we're very resilient, and tourism in particular is quite strong. So that really plays to our benefit. And I represent Ras Al Khaimah, so I will plug it in a bit. We just announced today our visitor arrival numbers. It is our highest ever in the history of the tourism board, superseding pre-pandemic levels at 1.22 million, and a 24% increase in international visitors. So we see that tourism is back. Another trend area that we've identified is the off-peak travel. It's called the shoulder shoppers. And what this means is that people are taking trips not necessarily during summer, winter, school break holidays. They're looking at off-peak periods. It's better for the wallet, it's less congested, and it appeals to generational travelers. So you are getting older travelers, retirees, who have disposable income, so they don't need to be tied down by a peak season. They can travel anytime. And the implications that has for us as communications people is quite profound, and I'll go through that in a bit. Another area is the ease of travel. I attended the WTTC summit in Rwanda last November, and it was all about borderless, frictionless travel. And what does that mean is, how do you combine destinations? How do you see the most of everything? In Ras Al Khaimah, we signed an MOU with Oman Tourism so that there's cross-border tourism between the Northern Emirates, Ras Al Khaimah, and the government of Musandam. So you're seeing more of those collaborations taking place. It also means one click less bookings. We've all seen that, not only booking travel, but when you're making a purchase, how many steps does it take? We rather, sometimes pay not with a credit card and entering all our numbers, but is there an Apple Pay function that will ease the process? So that's really key. And you're seeing a lot of bookings also taking place on mobile. 42% use smartphones. So that's another area as well. We're also looking at bleisure or blended travel. So bleisure is business and leisure. So as corporate travel is on the rise, as people are going to conferences in different countries, different cities, incentive trips, they're also bundling that with the leisure trip. As I mentioned, I was in Rwanda last November for a summit with the WTTC. And I thought, let me tack on some days and see the mountain gorillas in Rwanda. That was a once in a lifetime experience for me. And that was wonderful. So not only was the trip profound for me in a professional way, going to a summit and learning all these insights, for me, it was also professionally and personally very satisfying. Another trend that we're seeing is that social is at the center of the booking process. A good friend of mine, Jeremy Johnsey, who's the founder of Beautiful Destination, said that 65% of millennials and Gen Zs are considering their digital identity more important than their physical one. And that's very telling, because as we live in this digital space, about 65% and 90% of those said they will book travel on what they see on social. So you're seeing that people are really dreaming on social when it comes to travel. They're not always inspired by an OTA or a website. And what Google was to travel from 2005 to 2015 is now what TikTok is to social. So that really has implications for us as well. And lastly, sustainability. It is an enduring theme. We saw it come into force at COP28, and it's impacting our industry like never before. If you look at the environmental part of sustainability, look at natural disasters, what happened with the fires in Greece. Europe had the hottest summer in record last year, flash floods in the States. People are also looking not only whether they're traveling to a destination that might rain, but also are there significant travel patterns and weather patterns they need to be mindful of. So sustainability in that sense is endearing, and it'll continue to be important. So what does that mean for us, in-house teams and PR practitioners? Quite simply, just keep on top of the trends. Look at different sources. So Skift just came out with their mega trends in travel. That's a really good one. And I quickly was looking at it. And one of the top ones is the Ozempic era will force the travel industry to adapt. And this is Ozempic is for type 2 diabetes. It's an insulin injection, but increasingly people are taking it to lose weight. So what implications does slimmer travelers have on our travel ecosystem? So that'll be interesting. So take a look at the different sources, whether it's WTTC, UNWTO. When you go to your exhibitions, whether it's ATM, WTM in London, ITB in Germany, not only see what's going on at your booth and other areas, go to the panels, get the insights. And I think this is really prudent, not only for the agencies to do, but also the in-house teams. When we look at off-peak travel, so that travel is not just relegated into summer, winter, school breaks. So it's no longer just a festive roundup or a summer packages roundup. You can communicate all the time. So this is really important for us as well, and to different audiences. Now, when it comes to sustainability, I would say communicate in this space with some caution. I've worked in tourism and hospitality, and in particular, we were working with media in the UK, and they were looking at greenwashing. Are you really, doing what you're saying you're doing? So anything you communicate in the sustainability space, make sure it's backed up with proof points, with numbers, with metrics. It's so important. Gone are the days that if you did a beach cleanup, that you would issue a press release. I would advise that, it's great for LinkedIn, but really be careful when you operate in that space and make sure you have the proof and the backing. So I think from my side, those are the trends that I see that are very relevant.
Thank you, Alka. That was interesting, especially the sustainability part, because it's very important for people that are coming from different places. There are different expectations. European person might expect something different when it comes to the sustainability than people who are coming from Middle East. So yes, and as you said, social media, still booking over social media will becoming higher and higher, right? Rather than from the website on Google. And there will be still increase of travelers that are booking not only for holidays or specific, terms, but all the year round. Good. Thank you so much, Alka. That was very interesting. Let's move to Imad Lahad, who is a Managing Director, Dubai Operations at APCO Worldwide. So please, Imad, share with us your perspectives on 2024.
Thank you, Monica, and Happy New Year. And good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you live. So Imad Lahad is my name. I'm the Managing Director of APCO Worldwide. That's a global communications consulting firm based out of Washington, D.C., and Dubai serves as the regional hub for MENA. There's always change in every industry, especially in our industry when it comes to PR and communications, and it keeps evolving. And the pace as well is staggering, especially in the last couple of years. Now, what's coming up is very exciting. And we look at it not just in 2024, what's happening in the next couple of years. I think Anas covered the AI space pretty well. I'm not going to repeat so many of the things he said, but what can I say in our industry is taking, like any other industry or majority, is taking the driver's seat. So we're seeing and witnessing major disruption in the PR and communication space, with advertising, the entire communication spectrum. And this is impacting everything from content generation. Monica asked about ChatGPT and the likes. And we're not talking about written content only. We're talking about creative videos, engaging content, and so on and so forth. We're looking at a new generation of how to look at insights, monitoring, the different LLMs and the different things that my colleague just mentioned are very important in getting to know more your audiences and the intelligence behind it, and the trends and the unexpected, I would say, findings from data that AI can help us uncover, and measuring impact and ROI much better. So it's actually impacting the entire value chain. Second layer to that, which is connected, which is data-driven storytelling. So storytelling is always as well evolving, but Data is important to understand audiences and persona, and AI and technology is helping us adapt the message and the creative on the fly, especially in digital advertising and social to target those audiences with messages that are relevant to their behavior, which is driven by data and mining this data and telling the story and communicating, almost on an individual level with the different audiences. We all saw the hype that was around metaverse and everything that comes with that. Although it's faded a bit, but we're seeing a strong prospect for more, I would say, development in the VR and AR experiences in storytelling and creating impressions and engagements. That might not take the shape of metaverse as has been communicated or advertised, but the concept of AR and VR goes along with technology and AI and all of that space. The interesting part that we're seeing now, it's been maybe some time, but we see that it's rising more and more, is this frenemy relationship between communications firms and media outlets and what we call today content creators or influencers, depending on how you want to call them. Sometimes we partner together to achieve on clients' needs, campaigns, and so on and so forth. But I think because of the market situation, the competition, media outlets are, and especially with the crunch on media and advertising, are going out offering kind of communication/marketing services directly to clients and giving them the service from A to Z. Content creators as well are becoming very sophisticated, given that AI and technology is enabling them to create their own very engaging content, videos, campaigns, and so on and so forth, without having a big infrastructure of team members to work with them. So although we partner with content creators, brands partner with content creators, but there's a growing competition between them, and so many times that they're going against each other to achieve on their objective. So that's an interesting dynamic, and we have to see how this is evolving and how it's going to grow. There are so many things that are going to remain, right? It's going to be important. It's not about a trend. It's about how the audiences and the market is evolving as well. So authenticity is very important. It's going to keep brands that stand for something. They are being questioned. COP28 was in Dubai not so long ago, and there was so much scrutiny about what the ethical behavior of companies, greenwashing, so on and so forth. So being authentic is very important, and it's going to continue being important. With that comes the notion of ESG, and it's more of a post-it that everyone put it and talk about, but it's more about impact. So people and consumer and audiences care more about impact and what impact you're making around what you champion in ESG. Another connected element to it is the diversity and inclusion in the industry itself, in the PR industry, communication industry, especially in this part of the world. We see lots of activity, movement, all on the positive side. I think in this part of the world is going to be driving our industry much more and being part of boardroom discussions or industry and discussions. Last couple of things. More integration, and again, because of the competition I mentioned before, because of the shrinking budgets in some geographies, more the consolidation of PR and marketing, especially that the digital infrastructure is driving so much of these activities. So you see a lot of, these lines are blurring. So you see lots of integrated campaigns, more scrutiny and ROI, what brings me the best lead or what's going to bring me the ROI with the cheapest cost, and try to integrate digital PR, advertising, social, so on and so forth, under one umbrella, and able to monitor and to measure all of these. Again, these are the major ones. We mentioned again the rising ones and the ones that are still remaining. Last thing is on the influencer space, content creators. There is a move as well into more micro influencers. People with a mission, not advertising driven too much. There's a bit of disconnect. Not disconnect. It's a bit of people are tired from the too commercial content creators, and that is enabling the rise of some authentic content creators. That's it, mainly in a nutshell, with the time given to us. But I'm more than happy to answer any question. But again, our industry is evolving rapidly, and we have to adapt almost daily to new trends coming out. Over to you, Monica.
Sorry, thank you, Imad. So I noted authenticity, ESG, diversity and inclusion, consolidation of PR with marketing, influencers, becoming more ethical, correct, not only selling products. So these are the trends 2024. Great, we will see how it evolves. And our next speaker, let's go to Justin Harper, who is an editor, a writer, and content creator at Campaign Middle East. So Justin, over to you. Justin, how do you see the trends? Yeah.
Sorry, there was a bit of a time lag. So yes, I'm Justin Harper. I'm the editor of Campaign Middle East. Happy to join you. And there's been some fascinating dialogue already. A lot of the things talked about, from influencers to greenwashing to authenticity, are things we cover. So I've been a journalist for getting on for 26 years. And I know you look at my baby face and you look how young I am, you say, how could this guy possibly be a journalist for so long? But I have, across London, Singapore, and now Dubai, working for the likes of the BBC, Financial Times, Daily Mail, Daily Telegraph. So I've worked with PR agencies for a long, long time. And so the questions put to me were really just, I guess the first one was recommending for PR agencies to build and maintain strong relationships with journalists. And I think the key word there for me is relationships. It really is a relationship. It's a two-way street. And when I first came to Dubai, because I'm relatively new to the region, about just under 2 years ago, I started working for ARN, the radio station, for their news center, and I'd listen to the Business Breakfast. And the presenters there have been presenting for about 20 years, and they have such good relationships with industry people that they're almost like friends, and I'm sure they are. And that's really what I think is the objective here, is to listen to journalists, talk to journalists, get to know them, because I see so many pitches that are just like a one-way street, where here's a pitch without even understanding the media, the journalist, what they're into, what the publication covers sometimes. And, Campaign Middle East does cover the media industry. I do talk to a lot of other journalists. We look after advertising, marketing, and the creative industry as well. And I get pitches that sometimes are inappropriate or on topics that just, things we wouldn't cover there. And I think it's really just understand the publication and the journalist you're pitching to, I think is really important there. From my point of view, it's like, we have an editorial calendar, so we try and help by saying, look, for the year ahead, these are the topics we're going to be covering from January to December. And sustainability, we've talked about before, some of the guests here, is a big issue for us on how you market your sustainability, how you stay authentic. And definitely we see through the greenwashing that we saw around COP28. So it's really just understanding the topics that the journalist is interested in. I think that really helps building those relationships. Today I braved Sheikh Zayed Road. I went up to Emirates and I met one of the VPs of the sponsorship marketing branding department there, to understand more about what Emirates are doing this year from our point of view, because obviously they're a huge organization in the region. They do a lot of advertising. They work with a lot of brand ambassadors like Penelope Cruz, and I thought they're a big enough sort of client to go and understand what they've got for the year ahead. So I want to know more about them. They want to know more about me. So it's really taking the time to understand the publication and vice versa. So you really just make sure you pitch relevant topics, relevant news stories, and you're sort of always aware of what the publication are interested in. And I think the second topic I was asked to talk about was staying informed for the evolving needs and preferences of journalists in 2024. And I think, one of the things is how much social media drives the narrative, whether it's influencers on the big scale or micro influencers and whoever, platform you follow. Social media does drive so much of the topics that for the news agenda. So it is really keeping, tabs on that. We're always on social media as a brand ourselves, pushing stuff out, but also listening to what the hot topics are, what's trending, what's interesting, and then reacting, accordingly there. So I think that's a key thing, is really just obviously you're going to be listening to the news on a global scale, not just for Dubai and the Middle East, but what's happening on a global scale, what news is out there, and what are the trending topics. So I think it's really just staying on topic with the current affairs. And it sounds obvious, but some people, sometimes we get a little bit siloed. And I see that sometimes with agencies, when we get calls and pitches, looking after a specific sector, whether it's financial or consumer or luxury, but only really knowing about that sector and not knowing about, even with your own agency, some of the other sectors and what's going on in the other parts of the business and other parts of the economy, I guess. So that's really my take on things.
Thank you, Justin. That was interesting. So our professionals, they should concentrate on getting to know the journalist, the publication, understand the editorial calendar before pitching. So they know who they're pitching to and they know the publication. And they should as well follow on social media what's going on globally, because of course the content will adapt always, right? Now, I would like, thank you, Justin. That was very clear. Now, I would like to move to Justin McGuire, who is the co-founder of MCG Talent, and he's a talent specialist for the Middle East and Asia.
Thanks, Monica. Hello, everyone. Nice to kind of see you, or not really. I'm Justin. I've run MCG. It's sort of the leading marketing communications creative recruiter in the Middle East for 14 years. So we've got pretty good understanding of what the market's like. We obviously recruit across the sectors, recruit across regions. We recruit client side, agency side, consultancy. So we've got pretty good eyes on what the market's showing us right now. To summarize what 2023 was like, 2023 in the communications world was actually a pretty solid year. It was our, from a sector specialist perspective, it was our strongest sector. So it continues to be a very resilient market and continuing to grow in this current climate. What we did see, what was interesting happening last year, was a number of new international consultancies inquire and set up here as well. So we worked on more launches and setups than we'd ever done previously. I strongly see that trend flowing into this year right now. Another interesting thing that we saw was a huge influx of new candidates come into the market. Now, there's two reasons for that. Firstly, the market is obviously growing, and businesses like APCO, they are growing. So there's a need for skilled talent. But secondly, obviously, given the international markets right now are outside of the Middle East are somewhat, shall we say, suffering or having a tougher time, eyes are really on the Middle East, and more so than I've ever known before, actually. And with the big noise that Saudi's making as well. So we're really seeing a lot of interest go into Saudi, where typically we didn't see that before. So there's some really interesting trends to take in. What that means from a top line perspective, from a salary perspective, which is probably what a lot of you are interested in, is in the UAE, we're actually seeing salaries level out. We're not really seeing a strong salary growth into the market. Why is that? Well, because it's a highly competitive job market right now, where we are seeing quite considerable salary rises in the Saudi market. And obviously, from a nationalization perspective, in both the UAE and in Saudi, we're seeing those in heavy demand right now with new laws and legislation that have come into play. From a demand perspective, what we are seeing is that regional talent is commanding a premium. No surprises there with businesses wanting to grow. Everyone wants someone with GCC experience. Obviously, Arabic talent, particularly written Arabic talent, is still at a premium. those what we found is candidates that are coming to us from that mid to senior level within the Arabic space are snapped up incredibly quickly. Interestingly, what we did see last year, and I fully expect that flowing into this year, and it was something that Imad picked up on as well, is that our PR clients are not hiring PR people, so as just PR people. They are hiring as our advertising clients would hire. So a significant spike in data analytics hiring for our comms consultancies last year, and a significant growth in creative hiring. So that art directors specifically, we had a record number of art directors hired into our PR consultancies last year. That trend I see to continue. From a digital perspective, I think it seems somewhat strange talking about a digital and traditional way now. I think everything is very much integrated, but we are seeing, again, a very strong demand for social media skills. To be honest with you, that trend has not really bucked, and in COVID it spiked and it continues to grow as well. So social media teams are growing within our clients. I foresee that. Are we seeing any AI disruption into the recruitment market as of yet? The answer to that is no. We're not seeing specific hiring requirements for the AI sector coming in. I predict there'll be AI user vacancies coming up. I predict there probably will be a decrease in some copywriting vacancies that we might be receiving, but these are just what I sense. I haven't seen anything. The data's not telling us right now that AI is taking over our jobs. Okay. One other thing I just want to add here is, I think the processes themselves, the recruitment processes that we've noticed going in from last year, and a trend I very much see coming into this year, typically the Middle East actually because we operate in Asia as well, had a slower interview process than anywhere else. I've actually seen that trend change last year. And as that competition for talent has become ever more fierce, we've seen a shrinking of our interview processes go down to approximately 1 month now, which I think is quite encouraging if you're a candidate and looking for an opportunity as well. And that again shows that there's heavy demand for talent. We're seeing an even shorter interview time if you're a national candidate or if you're an Arabized candidate. And that's the top line stuff I want to say.
Thank you, Justin. Very interesting. I have a question for you. You said about the new influx of new candidates. I wanted to ask you, are they coming from a specific region, or is it people within the UAE, for example?
Yeah, that's a good question, Monica. They're coming from Europe. Okay, that's where we're seeing the surge come from. It's quite traditional hiring markets for the UAE as well. So London's way up there for us. Well, interestingly, I will say we have seen an increase in it, but it isn't in our top 3 yet. But we have seen an increase of people coming in from Hong Kong and Singapore as well. Expat hiring, not locals from those countries. And that is due to the high cost of living and actually just the weaker demand for expat talent in those markets.
Interesting. And what about, do you see more? So you said you see more demand for Saudi Arabia. Do you think in 2024 there will be more demands for Saudi Arabia than UAE candidates?
I don't. And the reason simply for that is Saudiization. Where we're called, I mean, if you think about it, when our business is called in to assist, it's typically when businesses need help with the hard to fill roles, or if they need talent very fast. Right now, all our customers are looking for good national talent. Okay. Now the challenge is that there is, I think that the demand is outstripping the supply. So I think there's some work to be done when it comes to training, when it comes to putting academies in play, or if it comes into businesses being open to reskilling. And I think there's a lot of potential in all those markets if people are willing to explore those avenues. But everyone right now seems to want that cookie cutter approach. They want someone with X amount of numbers of years experience that writes well, that has contacts. What's happening in that sense is what you're seeing is, and I think LinkedIn will just show anyone that, is that agencies are robbing from each other. Okay, so there isn't so much a fresh pool coming into the market right now. I think if people are able to look at their quotas from a creative perspective, hire outside the box, we're probably going to get some new ideas and some fresh content coming in from that perspective.
Okay, thank you so much, Justin. Very interesting insights. So I will now go to the Q&A. I don't see any questions there in the Q&A box. I will go into the chat if we have. So I have one lady. She says, hello, my name is Alexandra. I'm from Uzbekistan. PR is starting the first steps on the path of development in the country since Uzbekistan is undergoing huge changes. I would like to ask our dear professionals, what are the potential challenges PR professionals here can face, and what are possible predictions could be for Central Asian market? So I don't know, Central Asian market, if someone can reply to this question. Maybe Imad, I don't know.
I don't have a specific answer, but since the industry is in its early stages, as mentioned in the question by Alexandra, I think there's going to be a challenge, and this is related to Justin, in terms of the access and availability of talents locally, and how much they need to bring expats to push through and get the experience, because you need to as well, we were talking about the trends, so you need to be on top of the trends, especially with the latest trends as you're starting the industry. The media landscape as well is important. How ready, how sophisticated local media and the advertising infrastructure as well is the criteria and the success of the industry. Central Asian market, I would look as well at language, if it's going to be a challenge, especially for expats or dealing with some of the multinationals working there. So these are like the kind of things I would look at from client side, especially multinationals, the language, the market readiness, and from a comms perspective, access, availability of talent locally, and how easy to get external talent in, and how competitive it is to get them into Uzbekistan versus the competition from the likes of UAE and Saudi and other places as well. I hope this helps.
Thank you. And there is one last question for Alka. Is there a particular platform that you see showing more influence in the travel industry?
I think to answer that question, it depends which market you're looking at. We would assume Facebook is dying out, but in some markets it's still strong. So I think the approach is to have a really good balance between platforms. From a marketing perspective, I mean, we use Snapchat when we look at Saudi Arabia. In the Nordics, we'll look at Instagram and Facebook. So having a variety and knowing which markets and what they consume is really key. So I wouldn't point to one specifically. I mean, YouTube Shorts are great, TikToks are great, but just find out who your audience is and what they consume.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. We will be closing the webinar is 2:45. For our audience, if you would like to reach out to our speakers, please, we will share their contact details. You can ask more questions later on. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all speakers for participating in our webinar today, Trends 2024. Let's see, beginning 2025 with all the predictions, if there were changes, if we were not so far away from what we are predicting now today. So thank you, everyone, and I hope to see you soon again. Bye.